activities. So Reed, walk us through what are we seeing right now?
In Russia, a lot of things are linked to tradition. So this is a tradition of signing your bedroom door before you leave, and you can see all the other signatures on there. I just saw Scott Tingle, who's on the space station right now, right above Drew there, and you can see Ricky signing his door for his bedroom. It's all just steeped in tradition.
God bless you.
Here you see the crew
you
getting blessed by the Russian
travels.
Orthodox priest. This is another time-honored tradition. And then usually there's some water. Yep, there's some water that gets sprayed on the crew, so you got to be prepared for that. And it's up to each crew member whether or not they want to participate in this. But to me, everything that they do over there is interesting, and it holds a lot of tradition and significance. And so most of our astronauts will go through the ceremonies with their cosmonaut colleagues. And then this is probably the coolest part, which is walking out of the Cosmonaut Hotel. They have a traditional Russian song, which is titled basically Earth in the Window, that they are playing, and it's very motivating. You can see all of your trainers are out there. These are Russian folks that you've gotten to know very well over your year and a half of training, and then you're heading off and getting on the bus, rolling to the pad. You can see they've got these white undershirts on, and that signifies that they've gone through their alcohol swabs to clean their skin, and these are basically sanitized clothing that they wear before they get into their spacesuits. So whenever you see the crews in those white mock turtlenecks there, you know that's the prime crew getting ready to get on the vehicle for the day and get the job done.
And so why do we keep them because we've always said we keep them in quarantine. Why are we doing that with the crew members?
So we keep them in quarantine to make sure they don't have any sort of bacteria or sickness in general. And then that day of launch, we try to wipe them down almost entirely with alcohol. And then they take skin swab samples just to see if you have any sort of, I guess, alien life form on you before you climb on the rocket. So obviously we don't want to get the crew on orbit sick, and their immune system's been suppressed because they've been in space for 3 or 4 months at this time. So just carrying up any virus would be very dangerous for the crew on board.
All right, well, definitely a little bit more intensive than just getting dressed for work, but here we see even more intensive as, they're not just throwing on that flight suit, now they're getting into their launch and entry suits. So, I mean, what's it like to go through this process? Why are you guys wearing that suit for the flight up? I mean, what's going on?
So we obviously are wearing this suit, the Sokol pressure suit, and that is in the event of any sort of depressurization in the cabin during ascent or rendezvous. We have this backup means on board, and this would, even at a full vacuum in the capsule, if we lost all of our atmosphere inside the Soyuz, this Sokol suit would keep us alive. And so this time when you're getting in the suit is kind of surreal. You've put it on in simulators hundreds of times, but now you have technicians there helping you get this suit on, and this is the outfitting for real. And so you can see Drew's face there is pretty serious, and it is a very quiet and serious time right now as you get suited up. And then on the other side of that curtain right behind where they're suiting up, your family's probably waiting for that last goodbye. And so you're pretty excited to get through there and see those folks.
Yeah, I imagine it's all got to be kind of setting in. This is the real deal. Well, the crew, so they get suited up at a facility called the Integration and Suit Up Facility, also called Building 254. And these guys got there at about 7:29 in the morning here in Houston, 6:29 over there in Baikonur. So they undergo some final medical exams and then get suited up. And then, as Reed said, they'll soon get to talk to their friends and family. I mean, what's it feel like to be in the suit like that? Is it constricting? Is it comfortable? I mean, it's probably not, like wearing your sweatpants on the couch, but
you would really be surprised. As long as it is not pressurized, it's custom made for you, using your own body measurements, and it's actually a fairly comfortable suit, especially when you're sitting like this with the visor open. You can see there Ricky, the visor's behind his head right now. He doesn't have his gloves on, so it's a fairly comfortable suit to sit in. You get full range of motion. The difference would be if they had a failure on board and that suit pressurized, then it becomes a pretty rigid safety system, and then it is not the most comfortable. You get warm. You can see those blue hoses coming off the left side of each crew member. You can hook those up to cooling fans. It looks like they're actually hooked up right there, and that just runs a little bit of air through your suit and keeps you cool.
All right, well, and then after they're suited up, you guys move into another room, and what are they going to do in here? Aside from, it looks like they also now get the chance to see some friends and family gathered on the other side of that glass partition.
Right, so there's a little bit of fun involved here, but the main purpose of this room, you can see Oleg Artemiev right there getting into a Soyuz seat, and they will pressurize his spacesuit to make sure that it is leak checked before he goes out to the pad. So each crew member will go through this. It's a very formalized event. I mean, we take it extremely seriously. This is your last chance before you climb on the rocket to test your spacesuit. But then the other part of this is fun is once you've gotten your leak check complete, you get to walk over to that window and you have a little microphone and you get to say hi to your family and friends. They give you about 20 or 30 minutes, which is, in my opinion, way too much time. You're nervous, you want to get to the rocket, and you just kind of want to say your goodbyes and say your I love yous and then move on to the rocket. So sometimes you got to think of a few funny stories to tell your friends as you're sitting there.
And we actually just saw it looked like Oleg's suit was kind of puffing up a little bit. So you take it up to that full pressure, which it would be at if necessary. So is it pressurized the whole time you're in the Soyuz, or would it only pressurize in the event of a pressure loss in the cabin?
It only pressurizes in the event of a pressure loss in the cabin. So it's tough to see on this shot, but there's a blue knob kind of right in front of Drew's face there. It's pretty hard to see, but that controls your pressure. So there it is on Oleg, right below his name tag there. That blue knob controls your pressure. So if you close that down, your suit will start to pressurize. We also have, on the Soyuz, we have fans that are running ventilation through that suit the whole time, so you're getting good cooling. But in the event of a failure, yeah, then the suit would puff up, and that's providing the pressure on your body to keep you alive, really, to keep your blood from boiling.
And then, so, I mean, kind of walk us back. Do you remember your time in this room? Are there nerves at all at this point? Like, because we've kind of touched on, it's the real deal now. You've put the suit on 100 times in a simulator, but now you're putting it on to, go to outer space.
I gotta say, every crew member is going to experience this differently. I was a rookie when I went through this, and I will tell you, I was extremely nervous at this point. You have a lot of adrenaline flowing through you. You know you're going out to your rocket. You know you're seeing your family for the last time in potentially 6 months, and there is a lot of emotion going through your head at this point in time. These are all seasoned space flyers. I think they know the challenges that they're about to face, and so I'm sure their own personal experiences are a bit different than mine, but certainly this is, you can kind of see it on their faces. This is a fairly tense time before you're heading out to the rocket.
Well, also, talk to us about the Soyuz seat a little bit, because each seat is special for the crew members, correct?
So you can see you are packed into that seat. Your feet are way up, and before you launch, about a year before you launch, they run a plaster mold in Moscow of your body. So you sit in that seat with a plaster mold around you, and then they carve out your seat liner inside that seat bucket so that it fits you exactly correctly. And that's because our landing loads and launch loads are pretty high. It's a lot of force on the human body, and so we want that seat to fit you like a glove. Really, that's what we're trying to do. If there's any sort of gaps, you could have an injury on landing, and I'll tell you, they do an amazing job, Dan, on that seat. They build it right the first time, and if you got any issues, they'll fix it. And we've had crew members coming back for years in the Soyuz, and everybody's come back healthy.
Man, it looks super stunning. We see Drew taking a selfie with the family, I think it looks like, and all of our crew members, and we'll reiterate this throughout the broadcast, but they're on social media, so you can follow their trips on Twitter and Instagram, on their various accounts, both Ricky Arnold, Andrew Feusel, which, again, at this point, getting a chance to wave and talk to their family and kind of say, so is this the last time you get to see the friends and family before you launch?
This is it, Dan. So you're at this window. They're on the other side of that window so that the crew stays in quarantine. And then when you walk out, you get onto the bus, and you may get to wave to your family from the bus, but the next destination for this crew, I got to tell you, they look pretty relaxed. The next destination for this crew is going to be their Soyuz rocket.
Kathy had potato chips for us.
Off the book the best.
Yeah, mom and dad will say you can watch it right before Ricky drove over. Yeah, so they're trying to do it Friday.
to provide all the support to you here on the ground, along with our colleagues from NASA. Everybody who is remaining on the ground is going to provide support to you. We'll be looking forward to seeing you on the ground.
The NASA team's ready to support you. All the ground folks are all ready. They're all ready for a great expedition. Take good care of Space Station for us. Enjoy your time on Support Station. We have plenty of exciting research, lots of great work for you, lots of great EVAs. You'll have a great time on station. So do your part and take care of Station, leave it in better shape than when you arrived.
Thanks, Bill. We'll all be here on the ground, ready to support you. So have a great time up there. And if you need anything, give us a call.
Thanks. We'll be sure to wait every time we fly overhead.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and then after suit up, and they just had a moment there to talk to some of the management from NASA and Roscosmos, and then it's the walk out to the bus.
Yeah, this is definitely a surreal time. You can see in their left hand, they're holding their little ventilators that's keeping air running through their suit to keep them cool. And they stop on these white squares, very formal. And then the chief designer for the Soyuz is going to probably wish them well on their trip. And a couple last pictures, then off to the bus.
All right, well, they walked out at about 8:44 p.m. at night in Baikonur. And again, this is to get on the bus and then the ride over to launch pad number 1. That drive takes about 25 minutes. But again, one last chance to wave farewell to everybody. And then it was on to the rocket. And they arrived again about 25 minutes later at 9:09 p.m. over there in Baikonur. And then they're helped off by some various members of management and support staff from the partner agencies. So Roscosmos and NASA are represented on this flight. So we'll see a couple of faces we just saw. Some of the NASA folks over there include Bill Gerstenmaier, the Associate Administrator for Human Exploration and Operations for NASA, and Kirk Shireman, the International Space Station Program Manager. And as you can tell from the outfits, pretty fortuitous weather for a March launch, as we got the report temperatures right around 53 degrees. So normally I feel like when we do these March launches, it's freezing.
Yeah, I think they're glad they're not in the northeast of the U.S. right now, getting hit by the snowstorm rolling through there. You can see, Dan, it's a tradition to help the crew walk to the boarding ladder. To me, that was always one of the scariest parts of the flight, because it's hard to walk when you have two people holding on to you on either side. But up the ladder you go. It's a time-honored tradition as well to give the crew a little, I'll call it, help up the ladder. So if you see any of their knees or feet help the crew up the ladder as they go, that's also a tradition.
Well, I would imagine, because those stairs don't look the easiest to navigate under normal conditions, let alone when you're wearing an entire spacesuit. But they're managing, and so this is, I mean, this is kind of the last time you see this many people gathered in one place for 6 months, isn't it?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
This is waving goodbye to planet Earth.
As you can see from the number of flashes going off at night, you don't even see them because you're blinded, and then you have those flashes in your eyes every time you blink for the next 20 minutes. But here they go up the final steps up that ladder, and then these technicians here are going to load them on the elevator that you see in front of the crew, and then they're going to take that ride up to enter their vehicle.
And so what's it like being that close to the rocket at that moment? I mean, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you hearing when you're feet away from the rocket that you're about to climb on top?
The biggest thing is you want to reach out and touch it, but you can't. And it's covered in ice. It's creaking. It's alive. You can see all the steam coming off of it as you're riding up. So now you're a part of your vehicle as you're heading up there. There's a few Russian technicians that are with you. One gentleman will probably help them strap in, but aside from that, you can tell that you're becoming more and more alone as part of your crew as you ride this elevator up and get ready to get on your rocket.
And we're back now with a live view of the Soyuz. You can see a whole lot more of the rocket now as those gantry towers have retracted. We're actually 24 minutes, 10 seconds and counting away from launch. The 3 newest Expedition 55 crew members getting ready to head to the International Space Station. This mission is going to be launching under the call sign Hawaii, chosen by the Soyuz commander Oleg Artemyev, based on some conversations the crew had pre-flight about all their different travels around the Earth to various locations. Reed, do you remember what your call sign was?
We were Cephei, which is a constellation, Cepheus, and that is what my Russian commander had used on his previous flight, and he liked that call sign, so he used it. And I just wanted to say that is Oleg to a T right there. To ask his crewmates what they want to be for their call sign, and then to pick it and go with it. He's a very giving person.
All right, well, the crew, along with the call sign, also has a mission patch for this Soyuz spacecraft. Shaped like a Soyuz descent module, that metal portion of the Soyuz craft where the crew is going to be strapped in. The crew's names appear on the top of the design, and then the colors of the Russia and U.S. flags appear at the bottom on either side of the Roscosmos logo. It's modeled after an iconic Russian photograph. The scene depicted in the body of the patch shows the 3 crew members approaching their launch vehicle, all in silhouette. The space station appears above as it is their destination. The moon is shown behind the launch complex and Mars in the sky to help epitomize the dreams of future human voyages even deeper